Okay. So I just saw a movie. A Nicolas Cage meta movie where he's an exaggerated version of himself. It was called Unbearable Weight of Talent. Okay. So I'm thinking about doing a review, but do I just want to do a quick review or do I do a full review? Well, it's not. I mean, if it was a big blockbuster movie, heck yeah, I'd do a full big review, take 20, 25, half an hour just to talk about the thing. But these smaller independent films or just smaller films, there's not as much to talk about with them. So I could do a quick full review. I don't know, that just sounds weird. I don't know. But regardless of what type of review I do, how would I start it? I mean, I can't do explosions. I don't know how to do that. There's no real play on words I could do with it. I mean, I guess I could just keep it simple and say something like, for Fandom University, here's my review for The Unbearable Weight of Talent. Nah, that just sounds boring. Or, for Fandom University, here's my quick review of The Unbearable Weight of Talent. Yeah, I like that one. Let's go with that. What, we were already filming? Start the review. Okay, first off, I admit, I went a little overboard with that intro, but I was trying something, couldn't really think of something. Wanted to do something in the vein of a meta intro, but I hope you enjoyed it. But like I said, this is my unedited review for The Unbearable Weight of Talent, starring Nicolas Cage. And like I said, it's not a big blockbuster movie. It's not. But they poke a lot of fun at these movies. And that's the first thing I want to talk about. I am normally not a person who is huge into meta jokes. Now, let me explain that. I do like a good meta joke. And if it fits in the story and if it makes sense, I love it. For example, Deadpool 2, that character is supposed to be meta. That works. It's fantastic. It's hilarious. But then when you get into meta jokes, like the most recent one I can think of is Matrix Resurrection. Yeah, Matrix Resurrection, where they're talking about the movies as if they were games, and they're making fun of the companies and making fun of sequels. That just got old really, really quick, and that's not my type of jokes. I don't like those types of meta jokes. And even to a certain degree, when actors play a version of themselves, I'm not always into it. It has to be really good and entertaining, and there has to be more to it than just that gag. And The Unbearable Weight of Talent definitely has that. I love this version of Nick Cage. I love what he does. I love how he's playing himself. I like how they make jokes about Hollywood, about, well, we want to make a very forward-thinking type film. We want to make a movie that is thought-provoking. I can't remember everything they say, but they are talking about this movie as if it's going to be the next Oscar winner. It's going to be thought-provoking and people are going to really be mesmerized by it and it's going to change their lives. And then they talk about, well, yeah, but you got to get people in the seats. So you got to do this. And they kind of make fun of their own trailer. Because this movie is not exactly what you expect when you go in. And that's definitely partly because of the trailers. The trailers were hilarious. And this movie is funny. And it's really entertaining. But it's kind of interesting to see that that's how they got you in the seats. And they talk about that. And the reason it works for me here is because, A, Nicolas Cage is just hilarious. And he's having a lot of fun doing it. But it fits in the story. They're not like, hey, wink, wink. See what we're doing? See what we're doing? it just kind of flows. It flows a lot better. These comments they're making, these jabs at Hollywood that they take, and it works for me. It's not, like I said, it's not overt. It's not in your face. You see it, you see it. We're going to tell you again just in case you didn't get it. It's fun. It's there, it's enjoyable. It doesn't take away from the rest of the movie. So, what about the movie itself? The trailers definitely don't really give you too much. They don't give away a lot of the movie, which doesn't really matter. But it's definitely not what I was expecting going into it. And that's okay. It's not misleading. This is one of those cases where the trailers, I wouldn't say they're misleading because you're not going in expecting one thing and get something else. You do get what you expect, but you get something else along with it. So I don't think the trailers are misleading. But I will say, coming out of it, I was curious how much was actually kind of loosely based on Nick Cage's actual life, like his actual family, what actually happened to him. I was pretty sure the party stuff and everything else that happened, the action adventure part of the film, since you need that in Hollywood to get butts and seats, wasn't. So I didn't. I had my wife look some things up and it was kind of interesting. But anyway, Nicolas Cage plays a over-the-top version of himself, and from the very beginning, I actually could relate to him. Not because of being a superstar. I am nowhere near being a superstar, though that still is a dream that would be great. But I digress. I understood and I felt like I had a connection to this version of Nicolas Cage. Maybe it's even partly true because he was obsessed with all these movies. He wanted people to like the movies he liked. He wanted to share them, he said, with people. He drove people crazy about movies. Yeah, that's me. Anybody who knows me, my wife, my friends, my family, yeah, they're going to say I drive them nuts about movies. So I could relate to that. And again, I'm just trying to figure everything out. But that part, yeah, I liked that. And I could relate to that aspect of it. It was loose, but it was something. It was something that helped me connect with the movie, helped me get tied into the movie. The things they were talking about, how movies are, how they're put together, was interesting. That was stuff that I like to hear, or I like behind the scenes stuff. And this movie kind of touched on that when they were talking about, oh, we're going to make a movie, or we're going to do Hollywood stuff. I'm trying to be vague because it's not like there's any huge spoilers in this movie. But there are things that I'm like, there's another part of this movie that isn't in the trailers that I kind of want to let you discover it for yourself. But yeah, Nicolas Cage is a lot of fun. He really plays up himself in this movie. He goes full blown with one version of himself in particular that keeps showing up, and he's, I think it's from a movie. I'm pretty sure it's from a Nick Cage movie. I don't know what it is because I haven't seen every Nick Cage movie. Which actually, that's a lot of. I didn't think I was going to say this, and it didn't really pop until now. But there's a lot of Easter eggs in this movie. Easter eggs for Nick Cage movies, obviously. And so then you kind of just see how his life is, and it's, when you really think about it, it's kind of like, yeah, Nicolas Cage really hasn't. He's done some strange and interesting direct-to-video or streaming, but when it comes to actual movies, hasn't really done a lot. I mean, he's done. They make a joke. It's in the trailer. They make a joke about The Croods too, and how voices the dad in that. And like, I watch these types of movies. I don't watch those movies. But for me, I'm like, Nicolas Cage, kick ass, love him, and Spider-Man is in Spider-Verse. Spider-Man Noir, loved it. Loved him in that. But so yeah, his story is interesting, what they do with that, and I have a hard time believing Nicolas Cage is really this crazy or insane. Though I guess I wouldn't be surprised if he was. But then again, that's the whole point of the movie, is to do a, as I've said, exaggerated version of himself. But it's not just him. You've got Pedro Pascal in here, and he's a lot of fun. He's just, he's crazy. He's kooky. He has a whole nother story, but you do get from the trailer that he's a huge fan of Nicolas Cage. That's why Nicolas Cage goes to his island, why he takes the job. Also, he needs the money. And now that I think about it, I feel like that's could be saying something about fandom itself, or just the life of a celebrity, having ups and downs in your career, but also just meeting some very weird people, some weird fans, obsessive fans, and they just rolled them all into this one character. Because I can say, yeah, when it comes to being a fan, I can relate to Pedro Pascal's character. I mean, look all around me. There's figures in here that have head sculpts that look like actors playing the characters. There's a whole bunch of stuff. So, I mean, even the pops, yeah, they're not exactly, there's no way that they look even close to the real actor, but a lot of them you can tell who it is. So yeah, all fans are Pedro Pascal in some ways. We just might not go to the length he does. We might not pay whatever it is, $1 million, $1 billion, whatever he pays to meet Nicolas Cage. But the truth is, we go to conventions too, and it might be for 5 minutes, but it's basically the same thing, kind of. So the more I think about it, yeah, I can relate to Pedro Pascal's character on that level. And the idea of getting a big star to be in a movie or in a screenplay, a movie that you have written, would be great. I mean, or to write one with somebody, with a famous actor. That's a dream. It's kind of like, going off topic a little bit, it's kind of like an actor dreaming of working with another actor. For example, for me, I would, if the creme de la creme, besides dreaming about being an actor someday and dreaming about getting the chance to get an Oscar, which, yeah, you might ask, well, who is that one actor? Who is somebody that you would love to work with? For me, I mean, if I'm being honest, I'd love to work with Scarlett Johansson. I love her as Black Widow. I'd love to work with her. Or, yeah, I guess, you know what? Hugh Jackman comes to mind. Chris Evans comes to mind. Hey, I want to work with my superhero people. I want to work with those guys. Of course, now it kind of would be cool to work with Tom Holland because he's been Spider-Man. But anyway, back on topic. This movie, those are really the two main ones. You got Nicolas Cage and you got Pedro Pascal. Then you do have the people playing his family and the intense relationship between them, which I feel like maybe that is my one criticism. It's a big part at the beginning, but then it kind of gets pushed to the side because he's doing this, but then it comes back at the end, so they blend it all together and stuff happens. It's another movie that you expect certain things to happen, but you're just having a good time. This is not an Oscar film. This is not a blockbuster film, as they've clearly mentioned in their own nuanced way, I'd say. And I will say, the other one I remember, Tiffany Haddish is in this movie, and yeah, she's very entertaining. She plays the CIA or FBI agent that ends up getting Nicolas Cage involved in what they're trying to do, which actually is revealed at the beginning of the movie, and then it comes back at the end. That's actually the part of the movie where I feel like it was good, but I feel like you could have done a little bit more with it. Otherwise, you see at the beginning, you're like, oh, yeah, okay, there's that. And they mention things throughout, but then at the end, it's like, Okay, so there's going to be this moment. Okay, that's it. It just kind of feels lackluster with that one storyline. But Tiffany Haddish is hilarious in this movie. She makes actually a lot of really interesting points, but she is manipulative. She is manipulative as they come with what she uses to get Cage to do stuff. And I'm just like, wow, you're going there, aren't you? You're a jerk. But anyway, this movie overall, it's funny. It's enjoyable. It's a good time. You're not going to regret seeing it. I would recommend seeing it on the big screen just because you can see it now. And it's fun. And there are some good action scenes, some good moments. And all I'm going to say is if you've seen the movie, you'll understand this. I kind of want to go and watch Paddington 2 now. I've seen Paddington 2, but after seeing this movie, I kind of want to go and watch it again. So yeah, what would I give this movie as far as a ranking goes? I'd probably say my brain is saying civilian, but I'm going to go sidekick, I think. Because here's the thing. It's a fun movie. It's entertaining. For most people, they'll be like, okay. So that's why I'd say for them, it's a civilian. And that's where my brain's going right away. For most people, it's going to be, okay, it's it's entertaining. Nothing great, nothing bad. But it's not supposed to be this blow your mind, break new ground type movie. So as long as you're not expecting something like that, you're going to have a really fun, entertaining time with this movie. And that's why I feel like I have to go with Sidekick, because I was laughing, I was smiling. There was not a single moment in this movie where I was just like, is it over yet? Is it over? I will say this movie is, I think it was like an hour and 45 minutes. It does kind of feel a little bit longer than that. Because maybe they could have shortened some of the mission stuff a little bit. But it's a lot of fun. I definitely recommend seeing this at some point. Even if you're not going to rush out and go see it, which you don't have to, but I would recommend catching it at some point. But what do you think? Have you seen The Unbearable Weight of Talent? If you have, let me know what you thought down below. Did you bust a gut laughing this entire time? Do you think the marketing totally blew it? That they totally misled you? That this movie was not at all what you were expecting it to be? Whatever your thoughts, comment down below. Let me know. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And until next time, remember, read what you love, enjoy what you love, and let's all work for a better fandom. I'll see you next time.